Testament
We
overview.
did now on First Samuel.
Now we're like getting so close to where we are in the Old Testament.
We're in the Old Testament.
The First and Second Samuel. They're two separate books in our modern Bibles, but that division is due simply to scroll length. It was originally written as one coherent story. We're just going to cover the book of 1 Samuel in this video. So after Israel was rescued from slavery in Egypt, they made a covenant with God at Mount Sinai and eventually came into the Promised Land. And there, Israel was supposed to be faithful to God and obey the covenant commands. Before the book of Samuel, Judges showed how Israel failed at that task big time. It was a period of moral chaos, and it showed Israel's need for wise, faithful leaders. The book of Samuel provides an answer to that need. The book of Samuel's story focuses on three main characters: the prophet Samuel, where the book gets its name, and then King Saul, and after that, King David. And all three of them transitioned Israel from a group of tribes ruled by judges into a unified kingdom ruled by King David in Jerusalem. And the book of Samuel has a fascinating design that weaves the story of these three characters together in four main parts. Samuel, he's the key leader and prophet in the first section of the book, but then he also plays a key role in the next section, which is Saul's story, and it's told in two movements: Saul's rise to power and then his failures. And the second part is about his downfall and his tragic death. And then the drama of Saul's demise is matched by David's exciting rise to power. And then David's story is told in two movements. First, he rides the wave of his success, followed by his own tragic failure and the slow self-destruction of his family and then his kingdom. The book concludes with an epilogue that reflects back over the whole story. So let's dive in and see how this all unfolds. Part 1 picks up from the chaos of the book of Judges, and we're introduced to a touching story about a woman named Hannah. And she's grieved because she has never been able to have children. And by God's grace, she finally has a son named Samuel. And in joy, she sings this amazing poem in chapter 2. And the poem is all about how God opposes the proud and exalts the humble, about how despite tragedies and human evil, God is working out his purposes in history. And also it's about how God will one day raise up an anointed king for his people. Now, Hannah's poem has been placed here at the beginning of the book to introduce these key themes that we're going to see throughout the whole story, like the next one. Samuel grows up and becomes a great prophet and leader for the people of Israel, at the same time that the Philistines rise to power as Israel's arch nemesis. And in this crucial battle, the Israelites get arrogant, and instead of praying and asking God for help, they trot out the Ark of the Covenant as this kind of magic trophy that will automatically grant them victory in battle. And so because of their arrogant presumption, God allows Israel to lose the battle and the ark is stolen. So the Philistines, they take the ark and they place it in the temple of their god, Dagon. And then the God of Israel defeats the Philistines and the god Dagon without an army by sending plagues on the people. And then the Philistines don't want the ark anymore, obviously, and they send it back to Israel. And the point of this little story seems to be this: God is not Israel's trophy, and he opposes pride among the Philistines, but also among his own people. And so Israel needs to remain humble and obedient if they want to experience God's covenant blessing, which opens up into the next large section. The Israelites come to Samuel and they say, hey, we want a king like all the other nations have. Go find one for us. And so Samuel, he's kind of ticked off and he goes to consult with God. And God says, yes, their motives are all wrong, but if a king is what they want, give them one. And so we're introduced to the figure of Saul. Now, Saul is a tragic figure because he begins full of promise. He's tall, he's good looking, he's a perfect candidate for a king, but he has deep character flaws. He's dishonest, he lacks integrity, and he seems incapable of acknowledging his own mistakes. And so these flaws become his downfall. He wins some battles at the beginning, but his flaws run so deep, he eventually disqualifies himself by blatantly disobeying God's commands. And so the aging Samuel confronts Saul and Israel. He had warned the people that they would only benefit from a king who's humble and faithful to God. Otherwise, the kings of Israel will bring ruin. So he informs Saul that God is going to raise up a new king to replace him. And so Saul's downfall begins. as God at the same time is working behind the scenes to raise up that new king. It's an insignificant shepherd boy named David. He's the least likely candidate to be king, but the famous story of David and Goliath shows that God's choice of David is not based on his family status, but simply on his radical and humble trust in the God of Israel. And so this story embodies all of the themes of Hannah's poem. Proud Saul and Goliath are brought low, while humble David is exalted. From here, we watch Saul slowly descend into madness, while David rises to power. So David starts working for Saul as a general, and he's winning all of the battles, and he's also winning all of the fame. And so Saul gets jealous, and he starts chasing David around, hunting him, trying to kill him. David's done nothing wrong, and so David simply runs and waits in the wilderness. And here we see David's true character. He has multiple opportunities to kill Saul, but he doesn't. He simply trusts that despite Saul's evil, God will raise up a king for his people. What's interesting, too, is that many of the poems of David that you find in the book of Psalms are linked to this very period of his life, and they all express the same attitude of trust. And so this section of the book ends with Saul coming to a grisly death after losing a battle with the Philistines. 1 Samuel tells some of the most intricate, well-told stories you find anywhere in the Bible, and the characters Saul and David, they're portrayed very realistically. And the author's putting them forward as character studies so that you can find yourself in them. So in Saul's story, we see a warning. It's crucial that we reflect on our own character flaws and how they harm us and other people. And with God's help, we need to humble ourselves and deal with our dark side so that Saul's story doesn't become ours. David, on the other hand, is presented as an example of patience and trust in God's timing in our lives. And so he's running in the wilderness, being chased by Saul. David had every reason to think that God had abandoned him, but that's not what he thinks. And so David's story encourages us to trust that despite human evil, God is working out his purposes to oppose the proud and to exalt the humble. And that's what 1 Samuel is all about.
So, takeaways.
Samuel starts out
Mm-hmm.
as in the Judges.
Yeah, in the Judges, right? And so, what do you remember? And they did this for us. So, we have Hannah's song, where God Yahweh opposes the
Brown.
and humble the and exalts the humble. He does humble the proud, though. You're right about that. And so he exalts the humble. And so, and this is also a theme in Genesis, that he will work out human evil for good.
It's like turn this thing that and then that thing and then this and then that.
Yep. All right, we can start. Yeah. So there's the book of Samuel in the ancient times, which they explain was one scroll, but due to like just modern practice, because of scroll lengths, it got split into two. So the next video will be about 2 Samuel. Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, dude. No. Look at this dog. Oh. That's exciting. I'm happy that everyone's gathering around you too. You know, even though they took some of your savings, which I'm sorry, man. But nonetheless, you know, it looks like you're in motion. In motion. You're all. Oh, okay. So you're planning on getting a new PC anyways. Alright. Defeat Amon in the Burning Hell as the Bard. It's time for the music. What's up, Game Legend? Oh. Interesting. It's like hitting an invisible wall right there. Interesting how nothing... Ooh. Is there magic items? The question is, are there sounds that does gloom? Fusions are really good. I'm sorry, my friend. Let me pray for you. Christ, you're amazing. Thank you for my Polish friend. You're good. You have created the heavens and the earth. And you told us to cultivate it, to live in abundance in it. In that abundance, we need to define good and bad, good and evil with your eyes. Because we have seen from the scriptures what happens when humanity, when I don't look to your wisdom. So may Eidolon Warrior cling to you, King Jesus, so he could have peace and all his going. Because he said, hey, take your burdens, take your despair, and cling to my yoke, cling to my teaching. For I'm easy. I'm light. So I pray that for my friend Eidolon Warrior. My Polish friend. Amen. I understand being afraid. Yeah, my guy is pumping out the damage. I'm sorry, man. That was rough. Okay. 350 to 688. 270 Anaflex. Filling. Okay. That's good. It gets pushed out a little bit so you don't have to. Imagine that since you're experiencing these feelings, you're not the only one. Oh gosh. These laser type, I won't be able to eat my cheese. Yeah, you sound like you were on it, my friend. Oh, that's cool. Heavy for my friend. Oh, it's so good to have friends. I hope you find people in your community who also cling to King Jesus. Eat food. Just have deep community. I want that for you. Because right now I'm having deep community with my friend back there who also clings to King Jesus. And we, yeah. Life is a lot more enjoyable. Brawl Stars. Bolt mask, bring an acute amount of mana, inflict corruption. Ooh. Damage taken. Ooh. No, 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 no. Yeah. The question is, I'll say next level then is call your friends of King Jesus. Let them know that the light that you find in him, that they should be. And like friendship, declaring allegiance to the same king, and not trying to live for selfish indulgence, is that creates enmity and just this skern upon the brain space. Don't want that for. Definitely don't want that for you. What a terrible roll. I'm gonna pick that up just to sell. Because you're certainly left with two options. Either you find the light in King Jesus, and I was like, well, is he truly the hope and the peace for the world? Like, all Christians need to be presented with that question. Like either he is not hope and peace for you and the world, or he isn't. Now, if he is the hope and peace for you and the world, and if you truly believe that, then one has to then present it to their friends, so you care about them. If you don't care about them, then why? If you don't care about them, then you won't share the hope and peace in the world. Ooh, like my cousin David's on. What's up, David? Oh, I gotta reset Discord 1 second. Hey, friends.
Hey, Corey.
Hi, Corey.
How are you guys?
Doing
All right.
well.
Just doing a bit of Minecraft to kill some time.
Okay.
I spent way too much time on this, but not enough to make it actually good. But
Oh,
if you look where a back door behind the storage room was, I kind of messed with things a bit.
oh, the elevator. Right, I wasn't able to figure out how to make it move. Other than that, when I pressed the button, it like raised up to be like this.
When you look at this and you scroll wheel while looking at it.
Ah,
All right.
and I guess I pressed the button to make it. Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
You right click the where it has the destination.
I see. All right then.
Yeah.
I mean, you said that you didn't make it good, but it certainly seems to work.
I mean, it works, but it's not like visually enticing. But I guess it works for.
So yeah, there's no way I could have a conversation about this while also listening to them talk about Minecraft. My brain cannot do that. Yeah, so world peace, interesting. Oh yeah, oh world peace. Okay, for the sake of peace. So like, yeah, Yeah, and I think, you know, by us defining wisdom, defining the definitions of good and bad based on the King Jesus, who is the That sounded mean. Not to be mean, but your guy sounds like someone that Marty. They're all pretty smart nerds. They're going deep into Going deep into some Minecraft right now. See if I can do a. Okay. Some more bombs. Yeah, I think. I don't think peace is ever guaranteed, though. And so then we just have to. It's just the life of like believing that King Jesus is he's doing something to the world. He's changing it. Like, because the idea is, and how it says in the gospel. And I feel like I'm talking all over the place. Maybe I should really hone it in. So the gospel, the Greek word is euangelion, which means news. It means like something has happened that's like something has happened and it affects you. Now, either Jesus is your king or not your king. Do we set our face towards him? Because there's never like peace is never guaranteed. By declaring allegiance to King Jesus, we have hope that he will eventually make things right, even if things are not right now. Because in a world that is deeply set into despair of everyone defining good and bad on their own. Oh, and already you've dehumanized her, my friend. Calling her a vaping gremlin. Like King Jesus says, forgive your enemies, even our exes. And today's the day that I'm gonna call you out. I'm sorry. This so happens. Here's your wake-up call, my friend. Is under King Jesus, even the people that we don't think deserve that, are the most wicked people, we just stand there and forgive. And it's a hard pill to swallow. I mean, people hate you. That's just how they is. But yourselves are always embodying, like even when you have the power for vengeance, we're always in the place where trying to call them towards the better and give them the love and generosity that I hope I can give someone. That I hope someone can give me when I wrong them. Like as Jesus has given me love and generosity when I and my decisions have absolutely wronged him. Evil. Ooh. Evil. Well, I think King Jesus is a really good just embodiment of you always are lit, like by you declaring allegiance, it's like you're a citizen now of King Jesus' nation. You represent, you embody, you're an ambassador. And so while we're here, and like what's really cool is that in the book of 1 Peter, it talks about that we're exiles. And so imagine that you are a citizen. Let's say, yeah, you're a Polish citizen. You're here in the United States, and say like for whatever reason long to be back in your homeland, but here you're in the United States, so you're an exile, but yet you're a citizen, still representing the place you're not, the place you're not at yet. And that's how us who declare allegiance to King Jesus, that we're not fully realized in the heavenly abode. But we still are pointing towards it and want everyone else to look forward to the heavenly abode when heaven is fully realized here on earth. And so then we can have pockets of when kingdom heaven is here on earth. It's called moments of refreshment. And I hope I'm not. Okay. That someone who says, like, even if they're Christian, but yet are not declaring allegiance to him daily, and someone who says they're a Satanist, they're in the same camp. Like, no one gets a free pass unless one is absolutely declaring allegiance to King Jesus and living denying one's privilege, denying one power for the other, like he did. Well, I mean, I think, you know, I have a hard time being in the same space as people a lot of times who don't declare allegiance to King Jesus. But I do what I can, within safety, obviously, step in close to give him the love and generosity that King Jesus gave to me when I was his enemy. And that's how Christians should see even Satanists. Is step close, share the love and generosity when they can to even Satanists, to Buddhists, to Muslim, to atheists, agnostic. It's stepping always, you know, within, like, yeah. Like, and having and being vulnerable, declaring your love for King Jesus. Be in that uncomfortability about talking about him, because it's very uncomfortable to say, hey, the way you're living is not right. You need to set your face towards a better way of living. And Satanists, Buddhists, Muslims will not ever hear it unless, you know, obviously unless King Jesus talks to them in dreams or literally speaks to them. But also King Jesus also calls us Christians to be the hands and feet to also talk to the Satanists, the Buddhists, the Muslims, the agnostics, atheists. Like, step foot and like, hey, we love you. I want to step close and tell you about this new king. I mean, not new king, but this king who is changing the way how we define love, how we define truth, how we define good and evil. And it's the ancient way, the best ancient way, where we always are depleting our privilege for the other. So I will challenge your very Christian friend to get his act together. We have no space to see ourselves better than anyone. Any moment we think we're better than the person, we're not listening to the gospel. And I'll say that obviously very gently and very nicely, but he's not living within the truth of King Jesus. not, I'm saying it nicely as possible. I can't. I'm not talking directly to your friend, but I will strongly urge, like, we gotta always live in light of how, when we're in a very depraved state, Jesus still forgave us, stretched out his hands, and stepped close to me and my evil and wickedness. And so then I get to embody King Jesus by stepping close to anyone who doesn't declare allegiance to him, and step close and stretch out a hand and hey, this is life, this embodiment, this wellspring, this well. Everything else is water that is stolen, salt water that will leave you thirsty at the end. I serve the true well, whereas embodiment of life. Like, and I want you to have that. Oh, it's a periodical. Oh. I didn't actually fully read that. So with that, and then, like, and maybe you're not the one that's supposed to talk to your ex. Like, if someone closes a door on you, you have to wait for King Jesus to open it, or for someone else to have the moment. So don't never force yourself in a place you're not welcome. But always be willing. And I think that's it. Like, being vulnerable, being willing to always step into the uncomfortability. Because it's always going to be uncomfortable. Always going to be uncomfortable. And some days it's not, but most of the time it is. Even now I'm uncomfortable, but I know it's good and I want to share it. Okay. Yeah, and always when you pray, when you meditate on King Jesus, say, hey, how can I extend the same love that you have? And sometimes you're not supposed to. Like, Paul spoke to the Greeks, and while Peter went to the Jews. There are moments, though, that they both intersect and they talk to each party, but always is that vulnerable and willing, I will say. Yeah, Fury is such a good. Maybe more evil. Eat my evil. How does my evil taste? Oh. Thanks, man. Put a lot of work in it about a couple of years ago, and they're still doing well. I actually have it on the right. It actually broke a little bit, but since Rob and I are planning on becoming missionaries, in about a year or two, evil tastes like red. I always get a hoo out of these kind of video games adaptation of evil. Ooh. 50. Oof. All right, time to get more strength. Tasting like the color red. Because it's like fire where the worm never quenches, and a lot of our images are from medieval times. Strawberries are evil. Huh? It's like so here's a little Hebrew lesson. Elohim is what usually modern translations, English modern translations, I can't speak for the other languages, usually get translated into God or gods. When you see in the English where it says capital L-O-R-D, that's taking the word Yahweh, which you hear me say a lot. They take the word Yahweh and translate to L-O-R-D. Now, Elohim is, since it's translated to God, like Elohim, like interesting fact, it just means spiritual beings. So sometimes they'll say he is our Elohim. He is the Elohim. But an Elohim can be a ghost. Elohim can be people talking about other gods. Elohim just, as a general classification, means spiritual beings. But you could say he is my Elohim Adonai, so he's my God King. Adonai just means master, means king, which usually, so L-O-R-D, but not full caps, is usually them translating Adonai to when they translate Adonai to English. So again, full caps, L-O-R-D is Yahweh. Non-full caps, it might be too much of an intelligent deposit. Not full caps, L-O-R-D just means Adonai. And so like, when we say he is the Elohim or Yahweh is our Elohim, but if you don't be too careful, you can start saying weird things about Elohim and not be Yahweh. And so it's just like one of those interesting things. Why when you learn this, it almost sounds like heresy. I can't do that. Actually, my wrist hurts because I got in a car accident last Monday. Rotating it. Oh gosh. Ah! No. Woo! Ah! Oh. Get some flexible wrist action right there. I have double jointed shoulders, so when I was younger and a lot more, I haven't done it in a long time, so it really hurt to do it now, but I could just like hold a stick and just pop my shoulders and just go forward without letting go of the stick. And like, I could put it as deep as possible. Oh, that really hurts my wrist. Why not? Are you in Evil Shop? Ooh. Evil. Darn it. I don't do orbitals. But 22. Oh, I could put that there. Okay, so your lucky chance. What are the cheapest? I'll do orbital. There we go. So is.
Oh.
All right, there we go. 5 evil. All right, let's see if I get potion. Still, yep. Give me potions. Give me potions. Fine. Or Aradit. Not one potion. Whew. Anything worth dropping? Man. Charm it is, I guess. What terrible room rolls. Ow. Finish him! Finish him! Oh, I died. Oh, I forgot to switch screens. How bad? That's code word in alien language for being an alien. Whenever you say I'm from Poland. Okay, periodical damage. That's what I need to focus on. Potion buffs are permanent. A big deal for this dude. He's gonna go into the belly of the beast. On the dark lands, where it's very dark, we will go. Now you know. The more you know. The more you know, now you know. Man, this is a rough start. Ah, balls. Come for your cows. Huh. So it literally just dropped a song. Huh. No items. Hmm. That's what you think. Oh, I don't do hours yet. Oh, hey, Logan. You know you go walk behind the prisms when they're going around? Like the prison, when there's prisms in the room, you can walk behind them. I just recently learned that. Evil. Ooh, a kazoo. A kazoo. Oh, it makes me chuckle every time. Ah, yes. Did it perfectly. Hmm. Game's telling me I gotta embrace the way of the curse. The kazoo's one-handed too.
What do you mean?
Kazoo! Ah, don't ruin this run, don't ruin this run, don't ruin this run. Whew. Is this kazoo evil? Because it's red? I just need to find some potions. Alright. It's a motion buff. I don't have a debuff yet. Oh, man. Oh. Curse is a good thing now. Oh, man. So many effects. Hate that my red matches their red. I have a hard time seeing your attacks. The mark of the devil upon you when you hold a kazoo. HR. So, my friend told me to read more books. So I read the word more books.
Oh! Okay.
There we go. Finally. Whew. On that. What a good friend. I seriously thought that was a dad joke you're throwing at me.
Ow!
Alright.
Find his way!
Man, I am. Oh. You just embody dad jokes. You're a dad before you had a child. Everyone always knew that you'd be a dad someday. Evil. And share the world, the land of dad jokes. I love having this sound instrument repeat. Brr, brr, brr. It actually does a half step. Wait, you attacked the horse, right? Oh man, those were the days. when you troll someone with a John Cena video. Remember those days? Like, it's John Cena. It was like first started with a prank call. And then it became like a meme of like just YouTube videos. Hey, I'm trying to get your trying to get your information for some taxes. And it's John Cena. You, man. I need health. It's
Okay.
pretty much your joke. Your joke is literally the reminds me of all right, I want to do the buffs. It's the embodiment of it's like the modern day Chuck Norris jokes. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but Chuck Norris jokes were like, whenever Chuck Norris does a push up, he's not pushing off the ground. He's not pushing off the ground. He's pushing the world down. Find the map. Find the map. Oh, that made me chuckle. All right, I'm gonna try this. Serious. We're watching something where they actually made Chuck Norris read the jokes. But that's hilarious, like how they say there's nothing new in the sun. How you're sharing John Cena jokes is literally how like the world shared Chuck Norris jokes not too long ago. Like 20 years ago. I'm an old man. Oh, I got hit. Bum, 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 bum. Hey friends, I'm back.
Welcome
Welcome
back.
back.
I was having deep theological discussions, and you guys are talking about Minecraft. I'm like, I can't have this. I can't have this. I can't have this deep discussion when this other discussion is going on the side. Like, I need to get my brain. I need to get my like brain space all synced.
Fair enough. So who were you having to talk with?
His name's Eidolon Warrior. He's pretty cool. He's from he's from Poland. And then there's Game Legend, who's from Texas, but has family from India.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, really great conversation.
I'm glad that you got someone to actually participate in the conversation with you.
Actually, they've been awesomely been regulars, and we've just been having wonderful discussions. Grant you an aura that flex shock debuff. You know what? We'll do half. Half armor, but I can crush.
So enjoying Tiny World so far?
Oh yeah. I decided that I'll unlock all the characters and then I'll declare myself done until the new expansion. And then
Makes sense.
I'll try out all the new characters who don't have a are not connected to unlocking the character on the when trying to explore the pit. Let's go here. Get the money. All right, gloves or boots, Justin?
Gloves. More DPS. They generally are more DPS related.
Now I'm gonna get some shoes.
It's a move. And I pick up the thing where all my movement speed also goes into attack speed.
Yes, that sounds like good shoes.
I want to get the shoes again. They're legendary, and they're the ones every step makes execution happens. Because those are just fun. Just
The true lightning mage. The static electricity lightning mage. The one that understands physics is the scariest to mages.
Been rubbing my socks on this carpet for the last 3 hours. You have no power here.
But my game learn to fly
The
to
heck? Placed a
It's cool.
conveyor
Oh.
belt and it caused all
Flash
the
game.
soil over it to lose its farmland status.
Hey, I've actually
That
played
was
Learn to
very
Fly. That's a
strange.
classic Flash game.
Which one?
Learn to Fly
Learn to
2.
fly.
Oh yes! Ah, I'd forgotten about that one.
All of us old people are like, oh yeah, Learn to Fly. Back in the days when Flash games were all you can do in your spare time.
Or RuneScape. I played a lot of RuneScape and Flash games, I'll be honest.
I say they were good.
They're delightful.
I can touch RuneScape
think-
again.
I-
for a
I
very
think-
long time,
The problem with Flash games though in me is like how like I see a lot of people's relationship with Roblox is there's so much there that it's very easy when something is just a little bit too hard. It's hard to like stick to it, you know?
Too easy to quit when it gets challenging.
Yeah. A secret weapon, you say?
And I will admit that Flash games also had a similar issue, but it was a little bit less pronounced because in that case you were just trading one type of game for another one.
That and
What's the issue?
I know a lot of Flash games kind of you had that get good mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So going to a different one didn't necessarily make things easier.
And at that time, I had a hard time getting good, so it didn't really ever. Until I was an adult, I was able to stay true and just embrace the pain, the over and over again pain.
You were able to get good.
Yeah, I wish I could say the same about myself. I never really got into the good mindset as much. Much more fell into liking puzzle stuff though, or first-person shooters.
That's a good question. Where was the term soul heart coined?
Soul Heart?
Soul heart, yeah.
I think Isaac at least was one of the earlier ones, because
I think
Ash Isaac is really old.
I think Isaac's the one that made those into soul hearts. Yeah.
Mm. I love the sound of the banjo. Brum, 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 brum. Mm-hmm. Yeah, The Binding of Isaac. Did you guys read that The Binding of Isaac play test is canceled until it's just officially released? Like there's no more test because
I did not.
people are using it as opportunities to data mine.
The data, it sounded like it was less of the data mining and more of people were absolutely doing like they were using the information data mined to go into different modes than they were supposed to, so they weren't actually, you know, being helpful for beta information. Although it does,
Unfortunately, data mining is just a fact of life at this
Yeah.
point.
either ways, if they didn't want those other things to be tested, they probably should have just left it out of the beta info in the first place. And I understand that's a much more difficult thing to do than it is to say.
All right, we're at time, so I'll say you guys can have one chance. Okay.
But it feels like that sort of information probably would have been like something they would have already figured out after what happened with the Lost way back when.
Hmm.
Because that was also data mined ages ago when the main dev tried to make an ARG about unlocking the Lost.
Yeah.
People just data mined it.
Hmm. Dun, 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 dun. The game has a lot of stack effects. Most of them recognize that light sound. Oh yeah, yeah. Tiny Rogues definitely plays off a lot of other games. They don't blush.
And that's perfectly fine as long as you're trying to make something out of it that isn't just only
Yeah.
other games things.
So it's like, are they trying to make a loosely copy of the other game, or are they just poking at it and just adding things that reference it? Like that's what it means. Like for me, I don't mind.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of wording and stuff that Tiny Rogues definitely just lifts from other games, but not in a like just copying their homework of just making the same thing again,
Mm-hmm.
but more like using it because it's familiar territory and it's shown to work sort of thing.
And
With
if
the,
you're going to be using a mechanic with you with the same, well, with the same rules anyways, might as well use that name.
Yeah. For example, the like how things are like worded for like scaling purposes versus base added, increased, and more, which is very much directly like from Path of Exile. The entire bane system for describing and the phrasing of how things work together.
right here. Oh man! Oh gosh!
And it was even shown before they renamed a couple things with very specific traits being called casting on crit and stuff like that. That was very similar to ARPG stuff. Although I wonder, this cast some credit on it was just a general ARP or just general RPG thing.
Oh, that's painful. I had one bomb and I hit it. I put it in the middle. I guess you can't do it in a large room unless you have a creased radius. I did it before in a smaller room where I was able to get the rock and the secret room. But I whoop and got neither and only had like one bomb.
A shame.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate.
I don't want to worry. Right now they're fighting a boss, so I'll
I need still
when they're
have
done.
God. We need some bone meal to give this thing an actual test.
It might also need more light.
I don't have a ceiling yet.
So what would you guys like to do tonight? Because it sounds like Cody's a maybe.
Well, I mean, if Cody does show up, yeah, D2's the plan.
Yeah.
But
I'm saying what should be what do you guys think should be a good contingency while we wait for him?
I don't know.
Good question.
Gatekeeper, has it been released? When is that going to be released? Nope.
Also, go figure after we make a salt machine. I finally found rock
Oh,
salt, by the
April.
way. And
Yeah,
lots
for-
of it.
I prefer the salt machine.
Yeah.
Because
I
salt
mean, I
shells
agree
low.
with that.
All right. Hey, you guys finished fought the boss? Okay. So you guys now have that follower. You can shoot a laser in swinging. All right, let's go and get to a Grace and save. Oh, you're hiding yourself as a. Hey, Char. What do you call a group of rocks that make music? A rock band. Oh,
Are you practicing your
I think
dad
it's
jokes?
hey, Logan. What do you call somebody with no body and no nose?
No body and no nose? That sounds like dead.
Nobody knows. You ready to read? All right, let's get right into reading. All right, I'm guessing you guys are currently busy with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't care to join.
Not this time, no.
Second Samuel. All right. Should we have music while we read? Yes. We'll use a DR free band. Turn that down so it's not too loud. Right. All right. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you that you created us. You did not create us to just be blind not knowing what to do with our life, he gave us purpose. Go, hey, take my raw material. Do something with it. Live life. Enjoy it with my wisdom. As we know it from human history and just even reading the first 12 chapters of Genesis, we know how much of a muck we have made it. And yet, and your answer was to keep on stepping in. You had your face see us. And you stepped in so deeply that you sent yourself and let yourself be murdered. But yet, because you're innocent and you did not rule like we rule by usurping fear of death on the other, even though at the people, that's what everyone longed for, was a Mashiach to stomp on all the enemies. You let them stomp on you, and actually that was seen as ruling. The cross is your enthronement. And we put on that enthronement like you did. We put on that crown like you did. And whenever death washes over us, we will not be afraid, because we look forward to our resurrected body as you have resurrected. So may we be diligent on being your hands and feet and loving and serving the world, our neighbors, our homes. Amen. 1 Samuel chapter 19 to chapter 21. Literally calculation and mother love. 2 Samuel chapter 19 to verse 20 relates further conflicts between the northern clans and Judah over the reinstalling of David, and describes a further rebellion against David led by a man called Shebna, which David puts down. There was a famine in the days of David for 3 years, year after year. So David sought an audience with Yahweh. And Yahweh said, it is in connection with Saul and the blood-stained household, because he killed the Gibeonites. So the king summoned the Gibeonites and spoke to them. The Gibeonites were not Israelites, but rather part of what was left of the Amorites, and the Israelites had sworn an oath to them. But Saul had tried to strike them down in his zeal for the Israelites and Judah. So David said to the Gibeonites, what shall I do for you? How shall I make expiation? You remember what expiation means? It's like when a crime happens, and there's like, say a crime, like, yep. And so like you own $200. Expiation is taking steps to pay the price. So here, like, they promised the Gibeonites, which we read about them in the book of no, my brain is, it's Joshua, right? Is Joshua the name of a book? No. Yeah, Joshua. Okay, yeah, my brain not working. Yeah, no, yeah, it is, because they went into the land and they actually said like, hey, we came from a faraway nation. Brain is, no, Judges is after. It's like right after. Why is my brain? Yeah, Joshua. Okay, Joshua. Durr. Okay. Okay. Duh. Okay. So yeah, in the book of Joshua, when the Israelites came in, they actually made a promise, like, we will not strike you down. We'll live at peace with you. And Joshua actually had them serve in the temple. Like, it's a really cool story. It's one of those stories that you could just read over without like blinking an eye, but when you actually deeply study of like what's happening, it's like they're non-Israelites. They make a covenant. They notice how like you don't mess with Yahweh and his people. And so they strike a peace with them, and then Joshua has them serve in the temple to be close to Yahweh. Like, they're legit. But then here comes Saul, who there's the promise that we won't destroy your people, but then Saul in his zeal destroys them. And so now David like
Wants to make right.
David wants to make right. What shall I do for you? How shall I make expiation so you can bless Yahweh's own people? The Gibeonites said to him, we have no rights to silver or gold with Saul and his household, and have no rights to put a man to death in Israel. So he said, whatever you are going to say, I will do for you. They said to the king, the man who finished us off and thought we could be exterminated so we would not keep a place in any Israelite territory. 7 of the men from among his sons are to be given to us, and we will impale them before Yahweh in Gibeah of Saul, Yahweh's chosen one. The king said, I myself will give them. Then Rizpah's daughter of Aiah got some sack and spread it out on a rock for herself from the beginning of the harvest until water poured on them from the heavens. She did not let the birds of the heavens descend on them by day or the beasts of the wild by night. 2 Samuel chapter 21 relates how David then gave proper burial to the men's remains and to those of Saul and Jonathan, after which God responded to prayer for the country. It also tells us several further battles against the Philistines. So let's first say, very strange story where it required the blood of the descendants of Saul to make restitution, which in our very modern sense is a very hard read. So let's hope John Galdengate can help us maybe understand what we just read. We care about what happens to the bodies of our loved ones. My wife and I long ago agreed that we should be cremated and then have our ashes scattered in the valley where we had spent the first night of our honeymoon. Now that she has died, it will be a place with which I especially associate her, and a place I shall visit and where I shall think of her. I'm glad to know when I die that my sons will scatter my ashes there so that I shall join her. Admittedly, during the months after she died, I sometimes worried about having her burn up like that. Even though I also knew that cremation only hastens the process of dissociation. Dissociation. I said that right. That also happens when we bury someone. Further, I don't know how to fit together the dissolution of her body and the scattering of her ashes with the fact that in some other sense, as a person, she is not in that valley, but is asleep until resurrection day, when God will recreate us. And that's the part where we talk about what happens when we die. So there's a sense that we are with King Jesus, but we're in a sense also asleep while we wait for our resurrected bodies. Nor do I know how God will bring about that resurrection. I do know that there will need to be some relationship between the bodies we have had and the resurrection bodies we will acquire. Otherwise, they will not be our bodies. What happens to our bodies, therefore, does matter. And it's that weird sense, like it's a mystery. Like somehow we get 2.0 bodies. It's like a full new upgraded version, but it's still oddly connected to our bodies now. Rizpah's story reflects that fact. Even though she doesn't know about resurrection, it is going to be a neat surprise for her and her sons and the other men that David put to death. Once again, David's action raises our eyebrows. So happy he says it. It's not like one of those things that we just have to accept at face value. Oh, the Bible has it, so it's okay. The Old Testament recognizes that trouble such as a failure of the harvest, like personal disaster or sickness, is often just one of those things, but that it can be God's chastisement for some wrongdoing. Either way, it means you turn to God, but in doing so, you have to ask the question whether some wrongdoing is the explanation for the calamity. In this case, it is when the famine goes on year after year that David realizes the need to ask that question. Seeking an audience with Yahweh, literally seeking Yahweh's face, suggests going to the meeting tent, as Moses used to do. Though doing so will not exclude also asking questions of his staff, including his prophets, about possible explanation for what had happened, or utilizing Urim and Thummim. One way or another, it emerges that Israel had failed to keep its commitment to the Gibeonites. As the story notes, the Gibeonites were not Israelites. They had deceived Joshua about their identity, and it's talking about the book of Joshua. You ready? They had deceived Joshua about their identity and had manipulated Joshua into making a covenant with them. See Joshua chapter 9. And Joshua had explicitly recognized that wrath would come on Israel if Israel failed to keep their oath. Evidently, Saul had broken this covenant and had tried to eliminate the Gibeonites. And evidently, no statute of limitations applies to this wrongdoing. You know what statute of limitations is? So like my car accident, okay? So I can, in the next 2 years, seek aid from the insurance companies because of my car accident. But after 2 years, because of statute of limitations, I can't. So they made an oath, they made a promise. There is no years of statute of limitations. Like, you keep the oath, it sticks with also the descendants. It wasn't just that generation. Evidently, Saul had broken this covenant and had tried to eliminate the Gibeonites. And evidently, no statute of limitations applies to this wrongdoing, as people in the United States or Britain still have to accept some responsibility for the actions of their forebears in relation to African Americans or people in British colonies. So David's generation has to accept some responsibility for this action of their forebears. So David asked the Gibeonites what he needs to do to put things right with them. The Torah includes rules to answer this kind of question in connection with personal wrongdoing. One can imagine, for instance, that a person who destroys someone else's crops would have to make up for this act. Even more solemnly, if a man killed the head of another family, he would have to take some responsibility for that family. Ironically, whereas Joshua had declared that the Gibeonites were cursed to be servants of the Israelites as a result of their deception, they have now brought a curse on the Israelites. Perhaps they had deliberately done so. David thus wants to get them to be willing to bless Israel again, to pray positive, not negative prayers for the Israelites. The Gibeonites' reply is enigmatic. Perhaps they are frankly acknowledging that they have no legal rights in this situation. Perhaps they are just being polite, like the Hittites, with whom Abraham has to negotiate in Genesis 23. Either way, they are putting the ball back into David's court. What kind of offer does he want to make? He turns the question back to them. The response is then chilling. Yet it might have served David rather well. One might even wonder whether this abbreviated version of the negotiation omits an offer by David along the lines that are eventually agreed on. I'm really happy that glass didn't break. One might even wonder whether this abbreviated version of the negotiation omits an offer by David along the lines that are eventually agreed on. The death of 7 more people from Saul's descendants eliminates 7 more potential rivals for the throne. 2 Samuel 20 closes off the various attempts to remove David from the throne, and the books/chapters are a series of appendices to the story. There needs to be no assumption that they come in chronological order. And this is a hard part about being Western readers, is when we read a story, like let's say like we talk about what we did today. So like for us, we'll talk about leaving, doing 30 minutes, adventure. But in the Bible, it might just like reference the going leaving adventure then 30 minutes. Like doesn't have to, like the Bible like does not hold to Western idea of proper bookmanship or proper like authority on way how to write a narrative. It doesn't have to be A, B, and C, D. Like A, we left, B is 30 minutes, C is adventure, and D is game, right? But then in the Bible, and I'll see that also in the Gospels, it might just like flip it up a little bit and trying to make a narrative point, because every book is trying to make a narrative, like a theological point. It's like right now it's trying to hone in about David as king. And so it might use some moments to put that point. And that's hard for us as Westerners, but that's just how they wrote at that time. The death of 7 more people from Saul's descendants eliminates 7 more potential rivals for the throne. 2 Samuel chapter 20 closes off the various attempts to remove David from the throne, and the book's last chapter are a series of appendices to the story. There need to be no assumption that they come in chronological order. This story will make sense in the context of the early years of David's reign, when he still needed to consolidate his position against possible rivals. This action helps him do so. Maybe the Gibeonites themselves devised the terms that would satisfy them, and David jumped at the chance to take action that suited him rather well. He then didn't worry too much about asking what the Torah will think of it. Answer, not very much, because it doesn't believe in people being punished for other people's wrongdoing, and specifically in children being punished for their parents' wrongdoing. That helps me. So the Gibeonites say, we want the kids to take punishment for Saul. And so David's like, okay, it helps me being king. Like he didn't even like
But
consult.
that's like.
Yeah, he didn't consult the Torah, didn't consult Yahweh. Is this a step to take? Yep. And so,
That I don't think. That,
yeah, I have a hard time reading that.
well, this is the Bible.
Well, this is reading
Well,
again,
This is the old time. Whereas this year,
dude. Rival,
that's like highly.
rival stuff, killing like descendants being killed, like
Very bad enough.
like that happens all over the world all the time. Like again, we don't usually get to see that side of the veil because we live in very cushioned environments. But that kind of stuff happens all the time. Like, you know, let's take United States for instance. I can only talk about generally us. Is what will there's like take South America, you could take the Middle East, like take even Vietnam. Like we'll impose a puppet ruler over them, or we'll like there's these two factions fighting off each other, and we'll say, okay, this one has a lot. We'll say this one has a lot more United States interest. He will send us more oil, whatever the reason is.
Or,
Okay, whatever. So they seem that they have United States interest in the heart. They could be the most savage of leaders, but since they have an like United States interests, we will then help them like win the election, which is like all like here's the thing about empires. All empires' hands are dirty.
besides that,
Like and that's what like the Bible always talks about is groups defining tov and ra, good and bad, good and
on
evil.
Their own, on their own.
Yeah. And so it becomes easier because they're the other people. The moment you say the other people, like Satanist, you know, whatever, Buddhist, Muslim, like it's very easy to then say like, you guys get privilege, we don't. I mean, we get privileges, you don't, because we're talking about our clan, our people, our group, our nation. He then didn't worry too much about asking what the Torah would think of it. Answer, not very much, because it doesn't believe in people being punished for other people's wrongdoing, and specifically in children being punished for their parents' wrongdoing. The Old Testament mentions only one full wife of Saul's, Ahinoam, and one second wife, Rizpah. A price Rizpah earlier paid for her marriage to Saul was Abner's sexual attention. The price she now pays is the death of her sons, along with 5 of Saul's grandsons. The Old Testament is generally accepting of the fact that that after people die, they go to join their ancestors. Being buried in his family tomb even provided a postscript to Ahithophel's suicide. A postscript that took the edge off the tragedy that was his life and death. But if the vultures and the coyotes eat your body, there's hardly enough of you to bury. The price you pay in dying is augmented by the price you pay afterward. Rizpah will not let that happen. And perhaps her action brings David's conscience to life, so that he then sees to the proper burial of the remains not only of these 7, but also Saul and Jonathan. This action would also do no harm to his need to associate himself positively with Saul's family, rather than encourage anyone to think that he was a betrayer of Saul, who ought not to be accepted as Saul's successor. At the same time, it was a proper act of reverence. It was after this act, not the execution, that God responded to prayer that the famine should end. Who knows David's motivation? The ambiguity of the story again functions to remind us to be realistic about the mixed nature of our own motives, and in particular about the mixture of motives that affect people in leadership. All right, my friends, after that sobering account, we can start. Be right back, my friends. was a very rough run. Ah. Ah. Good to see you're still here. That was a really hard, interesting read. What do you think? Alice, I am so thankful that scripture doesn't lie and sugarcoat. Yeah. He knows he doesn't hide the facts to show, like, you know, a different narrative. You know, so if you ever take a moment to read the hadiths, which are, they are like based on, like, they're the stories of Muhammad and his exploits, and usually you have to like do hurdles and explain a way to argue your position if you try to argue that the Quran and Muhammad is perfect and all that kind of stuff. Hadiths are very hard. It's like just the very hard reads. Like he tries committing suicide, child brides, you know, allowed his soldiers to force slavery. Like, you know, decapitated a whole town of Israelites. Hmm. Explain what you mean. Ooh, cha-chas. Cha 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 cha. Cha 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 cha. Anger. Yes. Cha 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 cha. Oh, Game Legend. They're talking about it's like, how do you feel? It's like, I like how Shogun never lies, and I'm talking about this, the like being upfront in the reality. Because we just read a very hard text where the Bible does not escape from human evil. I don't think there's any orbital sound build, so an orbital build would be something not like doesn't make sense with the bard. Sweet. Yeah. I think it's definitely one of those things where it's like by trial, you know, by moments. There are moments where clearly in the wrong, but since they hold the power, they could pretty much define in their own, and actually, so, so interesting thing, actually. So another, oh man, this is going to teach a lot of, so in the ancient world, the people who were considered in the lineages of gods were kings. And because they're in the lineages of gods, they will define good and bad, good and evil. So the kings will say, this is good, this is bad, follow suit, generally speaking. But then what the Bible does says actually everyone is made in the image of God. And so then we are all like, and so there is no like, not one of us are God descendants, but we're all made in the image. So we all have dignity, love, but that was so counterculture in the ancient world. Because in the ancient world, they only thought that only the kings were descendants from the gods. And were able to like rule however they see fit, whatever was good in their eyes. And so now we have this general sense that everyone is of values, but then instead of looking to Yahweh's wisdom, everyone is now trying to find, it's like the individualism. Everyone's trying to find good and evil on their own. And then we have this whole world a mess. Evil. Okay. Sounds good, friend. No, I'm out of souls. I didn't have enough for the middle worm. Ah! All right, so you dipping now, or just give me a heads up? Heads up warning. I am going to be leaving soon. Okay. Okay. Well. How you feeling about that? Are you anxious? Yeah, it's hard to... Yeah. Hmm. Nice. Hmm. Yeah, that's really rough. Sorry, friend. Hmm. Yeah. Well then. Then I guess find commonality. I can get into deep discussions about video games. Like, yeah, I hope they like video games. That's usually what helps me find common interest into those spaces. And I hope through you being there though, you're the ambassador, we always try, but we hold it loosely. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. It's a challenge just to not go with the fold. Speaking from someone who went with the fold, and also moments that didn't compromise and did not go with the fold. Very thankful I didn't. Hmm. Yeah. You know, it's as you get, I'll say from experience, as you get older, you'll see that a lot. It's crazy. 'Cause I went to school with someone in middle school. Then in high school, them and their friend group, which, it's interesting. I sat across from them, they tried to jump me, threatened violence on me if I didn't get my money. And so luckily, my youth pastor's house was right there. And so I just walked in because they were following me, trailing me, like they were going to do some serious harm on me if I didn't I didn't give him money. And like the cops were called and nothing was happening on that point, but sadly, like unless you make a commitment to like I'm not going to be about that, it will all it just caught up with them. A lot of them went to jail. Some of them died. And you know what, I'm just gonna focus. Ow. Alright. Okay. Get my brain back into the game. Boss fights. Oh. Hmm. 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 I'm sorry, friend. Losing a friend like that hurts. Been there. Yeah, that happens a lot. So the absolute desire to be accepted makes us, and want to be in the in-group makes us do scary things. And I say that from experience. There's moments that I was, I had a realization myself, like there were certain people that I wasn't being nice with. That I wanted to be in the in-group or whatever. A lot of people have had like talked to, like apologized, because there's times that it's crazy once you're in a group, like how, and that's why I love the Bible, is how easy it can, where everything your group does, like you don't see wrong in what they do. It's really easy to get in that brain space. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Ah. Offhand. Hmm. Ah. So you got a two-faced friend. As play acting or a hypocrite, as the Bible, as Greek will say it. That's rough. Christ, you're on for amazing. Thank you from my friend Game Legend. You know his heart. His heart sounds heavy. It sounds burdened down. It is. I know. I wish I could put a tough face and say that the people that I draw close to me, when they reject me, it hurts. And I'm hearing that from Game Legend, like people like that were considered friends that get close to him. You don't recognize them anymore, and that hurts. Thank you, King Jesus, that you had friends near you, the disciples who abandoned you. So this is a moment that you could step within, like knowing what the hell we gone through. Thank you, King Jesus, that even with through all the rejection, you still stick to it, to the cross, and you served unto death. And you even says they do not know what they do. Forgive them. So I pray for Game Legend. May he become so secure in you that he can forgive, step close, laugh and enjoy, and set boundaries where boundaries need to be set. Saying, as a clinger of King Jesus, I will not step this boundary. And step away means to step away. And step close when you step close, and be vulnerable when you can be vulnerable. It is a birthday party, and so, you know, birthday parties sometimes are recipes for compromise. And my friend here, not compromise. Look to you for wisdom. Eat from the tree of life. Eat from your good fruit, and not make moments and not make memories that are delightful now, but bring great remorse later. Give him the good life. Point him towards a good life. Amen. Oh, ow. I love you, man. I'm sorry. That's rough. Yeah. It's that hard being with hard having toothpaste friends. Evil. Need one more. Got that to sell. There we go. Pure evil. Yeah. And I wish I could give you some sort of magic way that it changes. that he clings to King Yahweh and stop his foolishness. But there is no shaking. There's no like no technique for it. Just pray and stay close when you can stay close, and step into deep convo when the moment presents itself. And if it never presents itself, just keep praying. That's all I can. That's the all advice I can give, my friend. Yeah. Well, then I will, because I am constantly in environments where people, or I myself, and people don't cling to Jesus. And I hope that I hope to find the light in that, my friend. I know, like, you know, at high school, I was always, like, I was an insecure mess. Like, I clinged to King Jesus, but I was like, always jumped table to table, didn't know, like, who to hang out with a long time. I was too afraid to get close. And so, like, as talking now, I get it. It's one in group. You want a group that you feel belonged, and will fight for you. For me, I sometimes will find that at church, but then even church friends can be very mean. And so a lot of my church friends now, like, both of us are clinging to Jesus. He's a pastor now, you know, but that is a lot of that is post high school stupidity. Oh, I died. Oh. His rest suit is carrying me while I can't find. Oh. Oh, darn it, I'm messing up my rhythms. Oh, darn it. Yeah! That build was almost beautiful. If I was not getting level ups and was not getting anything, yeah, I was losing on the build stuff. Mixie goes, and I'm no longer playing Depraved, and I can do lucky hits. Do that. Let's do this tree. It's with him. Do this. Okay, what else? Do that. Please leave message after the beep. 8. They're just the Muslims that become just like them and attempt to fit in. Yeah. You know, like, I also find that with a lot of groupthink is very tough. It's very tough to notice that you're in groupthink space. What's up, Lara? My day's going well. Doing some Cinder 16 Tiny Rogues. A delightful challenge. Now I'm of the opinion when it comes to, so Laura, if you're wondering, I'm also talking to other people on other chats. I'm of the opinion that it's not so much, it's not swearing itself, like bad words, that is the issue, is because you can do just as much harm or even worse harm without never saying a swear word. It's all about, like, what are you doing? Are you like, what's the intent? Are you trying to build someone up? Because you can, I'll say there are moments like the right swear word can build someone up, but then also there's some words that, like, I don't have to swear at all to actually demoralize my wife, you know? And so it's like, are you trying to build the people around you up, or are you trying to tear them down? That's really more the issue, is not whatever these words that have taboo attached to it. Because actually I could be tearing people down if I say taboo words around them. And so usually I lean towards not saying taboo words. You know, when my wife and I go to India, like, to be able to be near the Muslim there, I want to embrace halal diets, which if you don't know what it is, look it up. But that's so that I can be in space with them without tearing them down for what they're practicing, but still calling to King Jesus. Like, diet does not make someone Christian not Christian. It's, again, declaring allegiance to King Jesus. So yeah, welcome, Lara, if you're still here, having deep conversations. Just how I generally roll. If coming here for like a Twitch personality, I'm sorry, that's not me. I find people they deserve the utmost care and love, and a Twitch personality, for me, being a Twitch personality is not resembling that. This is a great game. What a terrible roll. Guess might as well do momentum. Let's do that. So Lara, it's very chaotic. I enjoy that, but also there's a sense of controlled chaos, and so I'm feeling very challenged. While also I can try to set the odds better in my favor. I like things with controlled chaos, and it's fast paced enough where. Okay. A second, let me really focus this guy down. There we go. And one thing I love about rogue games is like the same thing with Binding of Isaac and all those is like initially, like you can make yourself just like crazy unhinged. Like just your numbers just go off the roof. All right, what build? I do use mana based weapons. That's granted. Let's do that. Oh, I am curious, please leave your message after the beep, is there are atheistic groups who, let's take Marxism. Marxism itself is an atheistic philosophy. And I'm talking about Marxism like, you know, where it talks about religion as the opium of the people and in itself created division. So I'm curious, I'm legitimately curious, when thinking religion divides, I will say human nature is dividing. Human nature itself will make an in and out group. Because really it just becomes, and I'll say in the world of a not saying the world is not created by a god, and so then there is no. And I'm interested in what your thoughts of this is. If we don't say the world is created by a god, so then there is no right or wrong. We are just cosmic dust. Then the world gets divided based on. Then the world gets divided by mites. Whoever has the biggest stick. Sorry, friend. If you don't mind sharing me your situation, that's rough. I can honestly say if people are warring in the name of King Jesus, that's not how Jesus fights, is he lays his life down. So anyone who says they fight in the name of King Jesus without serving, like that's how like the cross is seen as actually his ascending on a throne, in which the cross is self-denying death. Like, and that's as a clinger of Jesus, that is my exemplar. That's my example. So I'll say like there are humans who say they're Christian, who then will say like use whatever excuses to make war and say we are the in group. This tribe here is the in group. You're the out group, so we could do evil to you. But that is not a true Jesus follower. It goes, no matter who you're in and out group, I will lay my life down for you, like my King Jesus did, because he is my exemplar. Yeah, India, you're right. India is rough. India's in a rough place because of we got Indian nationalist, right? Indian nationalist, if that's their proper word. And please teach me, because I'm not haven't been in India. My wife's been in India, but I haven't been in India. And then, and so you have that hate against anyone who's not Muslim. And actually, it's a lot of hate against Christians. Like, there's also a lot of, actually a lot of people who cling to King Jesus who die, who are killed, who are martyred in India. Like, Hindu nationalism, that's the right. Hindu nationalism, that's the word I'm thinking of. I usually try streaming every day around this time, Monday through Friday. We do this thing, which you're welcome to, Laura. It's called Great Friday, which tonight I'll be on with a few friends. We play games. We then read scripture. We take Eucharist, the communion together, and probably go back to some games. So that's usually Saturdays. I don't usually streams. I'm with family. And Sundays, sometimes right after church, I can get a little streaming in, but then the rest of the time with family. But most of the time you'll catch me Monday through Friday during this time, and Tuesday to Thursdays evenings. I don't like. I wasn't born in Christianity. Like, please, my thanks, friend. So please leave your message after the beep. I want to say my Indian friend, if that's okay. My Indian friend. So, declaring allegiance to King Jesus is saying that how should I say this right? Because you're in India, I'm Western, and so I'm trying to say how do I express it in a way that can make the most sense. And hey, friends, we're at time. So actually, we're about to read. I love you, and I want to do the best I can to honor where you're at. What's a good way to say this? So you are not born into Christianity. Like people can have families, but everyone is presented to them, should be, and however that works out, I just leave it to King Jesus. Presented to them to say, hey, am I? Oh, I know how I'm gonna do this. All right, Book of Genesis. This is how this is where I'll start. First in the Book of Genesis. Oh, okay. And I think I know how to make these connected pieces, my Indian friend. So in the Book of Genesis, you have Yahweh, God, who created the heavens and the earth, who then creates a garden for them. And it says, hey, go cultivate it, create families, do it. All right, HR. Okay. Sorry, I'm also doing things same time, so I'm here at present. Oh, so he created humanity. We're made in his image, and he says, now go cultivate it. Go live family, be at peace, do it under my wisdom. Which, so Yahweh, Yahweh's first stepping into humanity is he shares. He is that's what he does. He could have created the heavens and the earth and just ruled it with his hands, said, all right, I'm God. Boom, boom, I do this. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 I do this. But no, he decided in his love to create humanity and share the management of the world with humanity. Now do it in my wisdom. And then humanity, so you got, the tree of knowledge of good and bad, and the tree of life. The humanity is always presented with a choice. Are they going to eat from the tree of life? Going to eat from the tree of life? Choose to trust Jesus, or eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, good and evil? Seize autonomy. And so Adam, so it's crazy. It's Adam in Hebrew means humanity. Eve in Hebrew means life. So humanity and life. You always present this choice. Are you going to cling to King Jesus, or cling to God's way of wisdom, or seize autonomy? And so then humanity, as you know, sees autonomy, eats from the tree. And then the next 12 chapters, Genesis 1 through 12, talks about how much we use violence. We use violence in our seizing autonomy. That's all, that pride and violence. We define the in-group and out-group. And then which Yahweh's I'm sad. And so you see him partnering with the Abraham family. Ooh. That's really cool, Lara. So Yahweh goes, I'm going to start with the family, the Abraham family, to start this process of blessing the nations. And so then there's a long story. That's all the First Testament, the Old Testament about, is Yahweh partnering with the Israelite people and all their mess and all of their defining good and bad, all their violence. But yet his purpose still stays true all the way to King Jesus. So all the way to King Jesus, who then King Jesus says, this is how you rule. You will not see me rule with the sword. You see me rule by letting the sword consume me. And because of that, he let the sword consume him. He let the empires consume him. Death could not hold on to him. He resurrected. So that's why the followers of Jesus do not have fear of death while they serve and love the other. Oh, all right, so right now, are you ready to read, Char? Okay, so right now,
I got snack first.
I'm very close to the time where I read to my Broheim, and I want to continue this conversation from my love for you, my Indian friend. But soon, just know that I will have to pause this conversation, read with my Broheim, and then I could get back into this conversation. So, are you ready to read? You want to eat the snack? So, you ready to read after eating the snack, or do you want to read while eating the snack? So, you want to eat the snack while reading? Okay. So, this is not me purposely ignoring you. This is the steps I do, my Indian friend. This is the steps I do every day, about every hour or so. Me and my Broheim, we understand that we don't have the answers in ourselves. We need someone better. And for us, we find that... Okay. For us, we find this better in King Jesus and the scriptures that point towards him. We read, right now we're going through the Old Testament for everyone, which is taking the ancient Hebrew, the ancient language it was written in, make it into a lot more understanding words, for my Western English eyes. A lot more understandable to read, and then also a commentary to help me understand what the hell I just read. Because, yeah, it's just, it's a different time, a different culture, and I need the best understanding on how to understand from how these people saw it. So then as I study King Jesus, who was Hebrew, and so that's what we're doing. But, loving to get back and forth. I gotta get a quick drink. We're gonna read. And after I read, I'll get back and engage. Yeah, Laura, if you go to choosingeden.org, there's my Discord. You can join, you can connect, send me a friend, message me your stuff. Just know that until I feel what's the word? At this very moment, I don't have any ideas what I want to add. Until I feel like I have ideas, I have something is, what's the word? I forgot. But okay, I gotta be back. I get some water. I'm thirsty. Lots of talking. friends, as I've been talking. I will challenge you. Please leave your message after the beep. If you study the God of the Bible, a logical thinking, like dealing with the facts in front, is reveal how good he's too good. That I'll see that being more the problem than the evil torrent that like ignorance. I think not knowing the Bible will lead to believing that God is a jealous, vengeful, fightful God. But once one study the Bibles, he is so good. People who no one, like so many things cry out that there's a God, and one can either everyone's presented the choice: are they going to look to their wisdom? Are they going to seize autonomy, use violence for their rule? Or are they going to love and serve the other and hold and no one has excuses. Like, like you have Moses' father-in-law who's a Mennonite, who is a priest of God. Like you have people, like the Bible actually shows more, especially in the First Testament, like people you expected to get it, the Israelites, people you expected don't get it, but people you don't expect get it. So like you got the Canaanite Caleb, whose Hebrew name means dog. Like he gets it. And so like as we study the ancient scripture, we're going to keep seeing how good the God of the Bible is. I don't know if please leave a message to people still there. But thanks for going and having a deep conversation too. Oh, he's there. Oh. Well then, yeah, I'll be praying for you. If after like, the Arist, like, I want to constantly look at the facts, and if the facts show that there is no God, there is no creators of the heavens and the earth, then okay, I'll go there. But every time I look at the facts, I see that there is a God, and he's so good, so loving. The atheism camp is scary. And I'm not saying scary because it's so scary I won't believe it. No, it's scary because you truly have no grounds to define, have no grounds. If I punch you, you can't say I'm wrong. You can, sure, you can. You can say, as a group of people, we believe this, but that's it, as a group of people. At that point, again, the person with the might makes right. The person with the biggest stick, the largest group. And so a lot of the empathy we know now as a nation comes from historically, from Christians who say every people are of value. People are of value. And that general empathy notion, because you don't find in, I think Lord of the Flies is a good example. People, without something outside saying that you gotta, as a group, you gotta deplete yourselves to serve your neighbor. You only get that from a narrative. We are all driven. So a narrative is like a story. It's called a collective story. Our people, our group, our story. Now, either my collective story, my group story says that I got to lay down my privileges for the other. I got to serve the other, even when death falls me. That will better the people. But if me as an atheist, I don't have that, and I can't then call someone else to be better because there is no group narrative, group story, that is true. The Bible is so good and so true. when we humble ourselves to what the ancient authors are wrestling with. The ancient authors are very human, are willing to step down into the ugliness of human living and say that there could be better. And it's always pointing toward better. But my friend, like, what's interesting is sometimes they'll say like science. Sometimes they'll say like science point towards atheism. Like, actually when the Big Bang Theory was first being being worked out, atheists were afraid of Big Bang Theory actually being a true reality. Because the reality is that if everything, think logically here, if everything has a singular beginning, there has to be something before that singular beginning to start it all. And it's called the Big Bang Theory. It's called the Big Bang God. And which then scripture then points to. What's up, Jason? And which scripture points towards that there is someone who, before time started, created the heavens and the earth. But again, like my Indian friend, that is right there, like again, defining good and bad in your own group and sense. Like there is no, unless you have power, you don't have any power to enforce. Unless you have power, unless you have might, there is no there is nothing to motivate the senses to serve and love and give everything to the other. That's why like a collective narrative is so powerful. The ancients knew it. It's been lost in a lot of our Western time as we have forgotten like how ancients see things. But you got to have a collective narrative if you feel like you're going to challenge anyone. You need a collective story. And that's what it means about the scripture is a collective story, a collective narrative that says this is a story of our people. And this is how our God has stepped towards humanity. I'm ready to read when he's ready to read. Are you ready to read? Okay. Since it's so late, Char, and Jason might be here any moment, I'll say you could use your Bio Project card if you want to. I'm fine saying we could do a second Bio Project card since it's so close to the time when Jason would get here. No, I'm saying you can use a Bio Project card now if you want to. I'm giving you a second Bio Project card. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, not logos. Yeah, he's connected, and I haven't heard from him. Did he?
Oh.
Oh, there you are. Oh.
Can you
All
hear
right.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was yeah. I forgot. I have to run Discord as an admin. I forgot to do that.
Oh, so just heads up right now, we're gonna be watching a quick little like 7-minute video together, and then I'll be here but not be here, and then
Yeah,
in
no
about
worries.
7 minutes I'll be here.
Do your thing, bro.
Thanks, man.
Mwah.
Mwah.
The book of 2 Samuel. Check out the video on 1 Samuel where we were introduced to the book's 3 main characters, Samuel, Saul, and David, and then also to the book's literary design, which first introduced Samuel and then traced the rise and fall of King Saul in contrast to the rise of King David. 2 Samuel tells the story of David as Israel's king, and in 2 movements. There's a season of success and a blessing, followed by a huge moral failure and then its sad consequences. And then the book ends with this well-crafted conclusion that reflects back on the good and the bad in David's life, generating hope for a future king to come from his line. So 2 Samuel picks up after Saul's death, and David surprises everyone by composing this long poem where he laments the death of the very man who tried to murder him. And so once again, the author, he's presenting David's humility and compassion. He's a man who grieves the death even of his own enemies. After this, David experiences a season of success and God's blessing. All of the Israelite tribes, they come to David and then they ask him to unify all the tribes as their king. And so the first thing David does as king is to go to the city of Jerusalem. He conquers it, and he establishes it as Israel's capital city, which he renames as Zion. And from there, David goes on and he wins many battles and expands Israel's territory. Now, after making Jerusalem the political capital of Israel, he wants to make it their religious capital as well. And so he has the Ark of the Covenant moved into the city. And then in 2 Samuel 7, he tells God, now that Israel has a permanent home, he thinks that God's presence should also get a permanent house. So he asks if he can build a temple for the God of Israel. But God says to David, thank you for that thought, but actually I'm going to build you a house, a dynasty. Now, 2 Samuel 7, this is a key chapter for understanding the storyline of the whole Bible, because God here makes a promise to David that from his royal line will come a future king who's going to build God's temple here on earth and set up an eternal kingdom. And it's this messianic promise to David that gets picked up and developed more in the book of Psalms and also in the books of the prophets. And it's this king that gets connected to God's promise to Abraham. The future messianic kingdom will be how God brings his blessing to all of the nations. And it's right here, in the midst of all this divine blessing, that things go horribly wrong. David makes a fatal mistake. Not fatal for him, but for a man named Uriah, one of David's prize soldiers. So from his rooftop, David sees Uriah's wife, Bathsheba, bathing. David finds her, he sleeps with her, gets her pregnant, and then he tries to cover the whole thing up by having Uriah assassinated and then marrying her. It's just horrible. So when David's confronted by the prophet Nathan about all of this, he immediately owns up to what he's done. He's broken, he repents, he asks God to forgive him, and God does forgive him, but God doesn't erase the consequences of David's decisions. And so as a result of this horrible choice, David's family, his kingdom, it all falls apart. And it makes this section a tragic story, much like Saul's downfall. So David's sons end up repeating his own mistakes, but in even more tragic ways. So Amnon sexually abuses his sister, Tamar, and then their brother Absalom finds out about all of this and has Amnon assassinated. And then Absalom goes and he hatches the secret plan to oust his father David from power, and he launches this full-scale rebellion. And so for a second time, David is forced to flee from his own home and go hide in the wilderness, except this time he is not an innocent man. The rebellion ends when David's son is murdered, when it breaks David's heart. And so once again, he laments over the very man who tried to kill him. David's last days find him back on his throne, but as a broken man, he's wounded by the sad consequences of his sin. The book concludes with a well-crafted epilogue, with stories that are out of chronological order, but they have this really cool symmetrical literary design. So the outer pair of stories come from earlier in David's reign, and they compare the failures of Saul and then of David, and how each of them hurt other people through their bad decisions. The next inner pair of stories are about David and his band of mighty men who went about fighting the Philistines. And what's interesting is that both sections have a story of David's weakness in battle. So in contrast to the victorious David of chapters 1 through 9, here we see a vulnerable David who's dependent on others for help. The center of the epilogue has two poems that act like memoirs, and David reflects back on his life, and he remembers times when God graciously rescued him from danger. And he sees these as moments where God was faithful to his covenant promise to him and to his family. Both poems conclude by looking back onto the hope of God's promise of a future king who will build that eternal kingdom. Now these poems and then God's promise also connect back to Hannah's poem that opened the book. And so these key passages from the beginning, now the middle, and the end of the book bring the book's themes all together. Despite Saul and David's evil, God remained at work, moving forward his redemptive purposes. And God opposed David and Saul's arrogance, but he exalted David when he humbled himself. And so the future hope of this book reaches far beyond David himself. It looks to the future, to the Messianic King who will one day bring God's kingdom and blessing to all of the nations. And that's what the book of Samuel is all about.
All right, let's minimize that while we discuss. All right. So, what are takeaways from 2 Samuel? He did do wrong, right? He done messed up. But what's crazy is he wanted to build a house for Yahweh. Yeah, build a dynasty. And which is always that. He is always working human evil for good. Like, it's just that always that theme. Human evil for good. And human sucks, but a good God can turn the suckiness into good. And we may not see it today. Like, we're now like 3,000 years after King David, you know. But we can see, like, from his seed came King Jesus and his death and resurrection. He is the eternal dynasty that now we're all engrafted in. He creates a people group that goes through all nations. You don't have to be an Israelite. Be in his kingdom, right? Amen. All right, we can play. All right. Okay. All right. Dang, I gotta go. All right, peace out, Game Legend. You're wonderful and amazing. Thank you for joining today. Be praying for you, and when you go to the birthday party, please hear a message. I'm still here. I love you, my Indian friend. If you want to talk, cool. If not, cool. I'm going to keep playing the GOM. Good night. Oh. I forgot you were there for a second. Oh, you made me jump in my pants. Oh, man. Practically fierce. What are you up to? My
A whole lot, my dude. How are you?
my beautiful. Doing pretty well. Doing really well. I miss you.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, Robin is actually in Salem right now. She's at a pastor's conference, and Bailey is at the in-laws. That's what I was seeing. What you're doing today? Seeing a few. Having a couple people stay the night. I was like, do you want to come and hang out?
Not really. Sorry.
But it seems like you're already home and you're situated. It's about close to your bedtime, so I imagine.
Yeah, but you know, been up since like 1:30.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's some screaming. We've been painting, gaming.
A little bit of both. This actually last weekend I just just decided just to fix up my old Game Boy and I've been playing on that again.
Ooh. What are you fixing?
Oh, the button contacts were dirty, so none of the button presses were registering.
Ah.
You know, since it's been spending like almost 20 years on a dusty shelf.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had to just take it apart and clean off the contacts. It's working great now.
That is cool. Like, is it like the old school black and white Game Boy?
No, it's a Game Boy Color.
It's Game Boy Color. What games have you been playing on it?
Recently I've been playing Kid Icarus. I think there's a couple of games I own that I think I just found one day. I forgot where. I've never really played them.
Hmm. Kid Icarus. I don't think I've ever. Yeah, I haven't played that one.
It's interesting.
I played Icarus for a little bit, like the game that the Smash Bros. Version of him is based on.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. You have like a top-down management system. Is that the same thing with Kid Icarus?
No, I don't know what game you're talking about then. Like, let's see here. Top-down management with like angel dudes?
Yeah.
I think you're talking about ActRaiser.
Isn't that what Icarus is based on?
No.
Oh no? Oh.
Oh, I love ActRaiser though. It's such a good game.
I only played like a little bit and I was like, oh, this is interesting. For my teenager brain, it just wasn't enough for me to keep. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like top-down, like city builder, and then you would go into like side-scrolling.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Was that for Nintendo?
that was for the Super Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there was an Icarus game for the basic Nintendo.
Yeah. There was a Kid Icarus for the NES as well.
Oh, okay.
But it's like a side-scrolling kind of platformer Zelda-esque game.
Okay. So kind of like Zelda 2.
Kind of. Now you mention it, yeah, they have a lot of similarities. But there's just a lot more platforming involved.
Hmm.
And there's one thing in it that really messed me up, especially when I played the NES one as a kid. Enemies drop hearts, right? And you think that would heal you. But no, in that game, hearts are currency.
Hearts are currency?
Yeah, hearts are currency.
Oh.
So, you know, you kill dudes and they're dropping hearts. Like, oh man, I can finally heal up. Nope, that's just money. Yeah, I'm doing a bit of that. I've been painting stuff. I was actually looking into I think they were called like screen upsizers or resolution upsizers, so you can play like your old systems on modern displays
That's
and
actually.
not have it look terrible.
I actually have one of those.
Yeah,
That's when I
I
asked for
remember,
Nintendo.
right?
Yeah, it's funny. I've had it for all that time and have not set it up yet. Updated it.
Like I've been looking at those and then like maybe finding a fat PS2 since they're easier to mod.
Hmm.
Like Game Boy, I've been like actually, you know, hunting down cheap games because you can on that, but and they don't take up much space. But you know, PS2 games they can run up.
Hmm.
So I was thinking about maybe getting one of those and fat PS2, modifying it, put ROMs on it.
That'd be cool. Man, so I have like Star Wars Battlefront 2 on PC.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes me like on the Xbox, they had so like you could do the galactic, like it's like kind of like where you take turns, like try and take over a planet, and the planet added resources. On
Yeah.
console, you could do split screen multiplayer on that. There's no such thing. Like, can't do any multiplayer version of that on the PC version.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about PC versions is no split screen for you.
Well, it's like can't even do it like because on the PC version there is multiplayer, like online multiplayer. It's like it's a
Yeah.
huge thing. They used to even make it so you could do that on it. They actually make the harp in this game very pretty.
What you playing?
Tiny Rogues?
Ah.
Yeah,
You play that a lot, like, haven't you?
yeah. I'm playing the hardest difficulty, like slamming my face against it. I'm almost done. Almost done. I'm unlocking all the characters, and while I wait for the newest update, and then I'll play the new characters that you can beat the game with, but they don't unlock anything. That's what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
But it's fun because every character does have kind of like a different build, and so it's just been fun. Like,
Different builds, different play styles.
yeah, just I enjoy it. And, like, it's familiar enough where they like poke at every other game that I've enjoyed, but it's like different enough where it's not like they're not trying to do a carbon copy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like you're taking things familiar but putting a spin on it,
Oh,
or adding something to it.
yeah. Oh, is that max level? Oh, I see. Alright, I'll do that. You eat cheese to increase your tippiness, which is hilarious. Tippiness is like how much inebriating beverages you can have in you that adds boost. I put the cursor there. Alright, let's upgrade this. Darn it. There's a chance of a black market spawning, and it hasn't been spawning for me.
Such is life in roguelikes.
Yep. Actually, I need to... Yeah, my build though this run has not get really realized too well, so I'm struggling to keep up with the DPS of the demand for power in the game.
It happens, man. Like, oh, you starting to build, and then you just can't find any more parts for said build.
Yeah. And that's where the really get good starts coming into play. I'll defeat that one. My brother! Oh, darn it. Oh, the curves. The ones that curve always get me. Like that rotating nature of them. Woo! That was kind of fun. I think those kind of feelings like gets my heart in my chest, like in my. It's like I think I'm just an addict for that feeling.
Gamer heart.
Oh, I hate it.
What's my evil? So I'm like trying to build up evil so I can go. Oh, I have like no points of evil, so I gotta still save my souls. All right. Ah! Down.
Rip.
It's robot's dead. Mm. So it's interesting. So I'm playing Full Ascenders, which you played Hades before, right?
I never did, but I got the gist of it.
So there's like a heat. So it's like you could add variables to the run to make it just harder.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, and you'll get more stuff.
Yeah.
That was the same thing in Bastion.
Really? I don't remember. I mean, I haven't played Bastion in a long time, so I didn't remember that feature in it.
I love that game. But yeah, they had that thing in Bastion where you could like get debuffs or make things harder and you get more stuff.
Oh, okay. Man, I love Bastion. I'm really enjoying it.
One of the few games I beat twice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I just beat it once and it was good for me. But I remember it as being enjoyable storytelling. Says you went for like the different endings, right? Is that pretty much what happened?
Yeah.
'Cause there's two different endings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like one where you leave the girl and one that something like you leave it or.
Yeah, there's one like it's a dude that pretty much stabbed you in the back, and like there's one ending where you can pick him up and carry him away. Because, you know, he's bleeding out, but there's one you can just like leave him there.
Oh, there's multiple endings. There's more than just
Yeah.
two. I thought there's just two.
I think, yeah, there is only two. It all pretty much depends on, like, it's been years since I played it, though, so it's like, I can't really remember
Hmm.
that well. I just remember, like, soundtrack was freaking awesome. It was just storytelling and voice acting. It was mwah.
Mm-hmm. That's probably when I die.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh.
Yep. And one revive never used. So another cinder where these robot dudes. Oh, robot dudes spawn on boss fights, and it just is enough unique variants that they just change the rhythm of the fight. You know what I mean? Like, it's like especially like, I mean, Hades like helped a lot, like feel the rhythm of like bullet hells. But when you start doing things at different beats, that's when my brain just goes, all right.
Oh no, they went the wrong way.
All right. Oh, I should have went to the tavern. Forgot to get money from going there. Being a troubadour.
Meow.
Meow?
Yes.
We speak cat now?
No, I don't speak cat, but I like to pretend I do. Probably saying all sorts of nasty words in cat, but I don't care.
You know, it's like, I could go to therapy, or I could just act like a cat.
Yeah, man. I set up a litter box and everything. I'm good.
Ooh. Chef's hat, please. Just notice that the chef hat has a smiley face on it, and that just makes me so happy. Acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitar it is. Oh yeah, I don't have any curse. Oh, I lost my morals.
That happens to a lot of people.
Oh man. The troubadour is rolling. Oh. Whew. Don't you love this item?
Yeah, that's. Look, this thing breaks if you do more than 9,000 damage.
Yep.
Hey, bro. Ain't no way you.
I just want to. I think I might grab it next time so I could just yell, "It's over 9,000" when it breaks. Whew. Not doing any crits right now, so that sounds like a better number. Oh, wait. What is my scale? 354. Yeah, we'll do that. Finally, a pawn shop. Woo! All right, Charlie, dip in 5 minutes, my friend.
Panic.
You like me serenading you right now?
I like the banjo better.
The banjo's been lost. Banjo was pretty sweet. Just did not make sense, numbers wise. I mean, it was lesser numbers wise.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Cover yourself.
Okay.
More armor. Seriously? Still no black market. Man. They really don't want me to go there. Oh. Oh, that. All right, Char. Time for us to bounce, my friend. All right, Jason, I love you, man.
Have a good one, dude.
Goodbye for now. All right, everyone else. It was a great having deep discussion with y'all if you guys still here. I love you guys. I'll be back on in about a few hours, so peace.